Hello people, Carol here. I'm back with another miniature quilt. I'm making miniature quilts from the book Little by Little by Mary Hickey. Now I would usually show you a photograph of her quilt, but you know what? I have shamelessly copied all her colours. So I'm not going to show you that because otherwise the big reveal at the end, it'll just look exactly like her photo. So, the quilt chosen at random is Sailboat. You'll need 3 colours, a colour for the sails, the boat and the background. So, I just like her quilt and there was something nostalgic about it because it just makes me think of toy boats, yellow Wellington boots, children's brightly coloured bamboo fishing nets. And so, although I am looking at different fabrics, this one I really like, but I've embroidered on both sides, so I don't have much of it. But this is the good thing about miniature quilts, you don't need a lot. So, once I've chosen some fabrics, I do what I find easiest, which is to not follow the instructions, but to draw out the block myself. This is a 2.5 inch block. And I've drawn the sails going both ways because I don't know what I might like. So I said on a previous video that I just can't follow instructions. And Catherine from Neat and Not by the Sea podcast, she left a comment saying that she doesn't follow instructions either, but she never thought it was because she can't. And she was going to give this some thought. Well, Catherine, I know that I can't, so it's quite easy for me to decide not to do it, but it is really interesting because not so long ago, I was listening to a podcast about confidence because I just thought there seems to be so many things I think that I just can't do. So the guy's talking about what characteristics you'd have with lack of self-confidence, so it would be not being able to say no, not being able to say what you think, a tendency to be self-sacrificing, being quite hard on yourself and others. And I just wasn't seeing myself in a lot of these characteristics. And I realised when I think I can't do something, it really is because I can't do it. And that's fine. I'm fab at other stuff. But I guess I should tell you what I'm doing. I'm doing some bias square triangles. So this is done by putting the right sides of the fabric together and cutting strips along the bias. So that's like a 45-degree angle on your ruler. And this is supposed to give you more accurate triangle squares. So I cut out the strips and sew them in pairs, and I am leaving a whopping 1/4 inch seam allowance that I'm going to cut down to 1/8 of an inch after. So look at this lovely crisp white and rich blue together. I nearly always start off by just making one block to make sure that I like it and also that I know what I'm doing. So I've got my little square template with my seam allowance included, and I just cut out my little squares, and here they are in blocks of 4. Voila. And then you can sit and have a little play with them and a cup of tea and admire your work. Bias square triangles might be good for accuracy and whatnot, but if you haven't got a lot of fabric left, you might have to go the other route, which is what I did for the bottom of the boat. For these triangles, I just cut out my square, drew a centre line from corner to corner, and then sewed on each side of that line, just at 1/8 of an inch because it's easy to sew, and then cut down the line in the middle. So this is where you can do your bit of chain piecing, which is always quite nice. I always think these look lovely all sewn up like that, and I'm just going to clip them to pull them apart, and then just chop the line right down the centre, and when you open it up, you've got your nice half square triangles. So before you know it, you've got your sails, your blue sea or sky in the background, the bottom of your boat, and then you just need to add your strips around all of that to make the background. So I just cut out some strips and sewed the squares onto the bottom, and then I just cut them down to size. Now we've only got the last blue strip to sew right on the top of the block, and it's done. And then you just have to churn out all your other blocks in the same way, so you get a bit of the factory situation going. Ooh, and there's a lovely shot of my washing drying outside. So all I need is 6 blocks, and I've sewn them in columns of 3. I think they're really cute. And then I'm just going to sew this strip down the middle, because that's what she's done. There's just enough of this red to make a border all the way around, and then we'll do the big reveal. Ta-da! Right, I'll tell you what I did a little bit different to her. I put this duck ribbon going around because it was too cute not to use. Then I've put a little bit of lace doily around the edge to distract you from the fact that mine looks very much like hers. And the words sail away, because I do like the idea of the little boat on a nice little lake, sail away, but not for very long. Quick outing, then come back home. Sit down, Maltesers, cup of tea. Right, so this is hers, so you can see how similar it is, but that's fine. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.